About 2 years ago, the thought of leaving my country permanently has really been on my mind recently. And, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, why not? I mean, it sounds pretty fun if you ask me. I mean, think about it. A whole new experience. A whole new place. You don't know shit. You don't know no one. You haven't experienced their culture. I mean, you may have heard about it, but you haven't integrated yourself yet. Hey, depending on the country you pick, it may be a whole new language, because I know mine is. The thought of moving abroad and living elsewhere, it really does interest me, and I'm gonna do it at some point, probably mid to late 20s. I will move out of England. Nothing personal against England. I'm proud to have English as my native language. I really am, because we are the most spoken language in the world. We may not be the most popular in terms of the most people, but we have the most powerful language in the world. I truly believe that. There's a reason why most colonized countries speak English. So I'm very proud to have English as my native language. Personally, I see it as a flex, and I'm very grateful to my mum and my dad for immigrating to England. And it was a very big risk they took, and the risk is definitely paying off. And it's a good example of delayed gratification for your future self. She set us up, to be in a position where we don't have to struggle the way she did when she was younger, and the way my father did when he was younger. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Even so, I still want to leave, and I will leave eventually, and I'll document it on the channel. I don't live in England forever, and I just don't. I'm a huge proponent of change, and I've been a massive proponent of change recently, in fact. I don't know, it's just doing the same thing every time gets boring. Now, I do believe success in whatever definition is, tailored for you. It requires some form of you doing the work all the time, 24/7. Not literally, but you know what I'm talking about. In a consistent basis, to get to the position where you're able to have more fun in life. I mean, for example, these YouTube videos, you gotta be consistent, man. But yeah, at some point I wanna leave, and I made a video, I think it was about a month ago or a few weeks back, and I told you where you wanna live. And I told you guys, I wanna live in France, because I really enjoy the French culture. I love it, it's primarily because of the language, bro. They sound so good, man. Bro, hands down, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but in my own personal opinion, I believe French has the sexiest language and accent in the world. I truly believe that. So with that in mind, it'd be stupid for me not to study it, right? I mean, there's a reason why I studied it about 3 years ago. So you guys know me. Guys, deadass, it feels like there was someone in my presence. It was probably the statue behind me. It probably gave me that feel, because there's a shadow and whatnot and all that stuff. Let's see how much time I have. Just spit some game for the next 15 minutes. Let's go. I think it's a good opportunity for change. You experience something new. I say the only downside to that, probably only annoying aspect of, moving to a country abroad and whatnot, especially what will be my future circumstance, because I will move to France to live there, is the bureaucracy handling the paperwork and whatnot. Now, I do believe France has a good healthcare service. I really do. It's a rich economy. But I'm talking in the sense of, just getting the whole paperwork signed, birth certificate, get this passport, all that bullshit paperwork. And then I'd imagine they're probably gonna put expenses. You plan everything out. Life's gonna do that thing again. It's gonna put more expenses that I never even would have guessed. Now, don't get me wrong, I have the money to pay it off, of course, but it's like, man, and that's life, so we gotta be prepared. So yeah, and it will be more annoying for me, because I'm probably gonna have to get all those documents translated in French as well, which is a bummer. I'd imagine, let's say if I were to move to somewhere like America, yeah, the distances, hope no crow shit on my bucket happened before. Yeah, so yeah, say if I were to move to America, even though the distance may be quite far, at least they're speaking English and you can just hand out the documents as is. But in my future circumstance, I'm gonna, completely change I'm going to have to change the language, because they don't speak English as their primary source of language in France. They speak French, right? And this is just back to going on my thoughts on moving to another country. I think it's really great. Obviously, there are some inevitable downsides. You are essentially going out of your comfort zone. I imagine when I do it, in my circumstance that I'm going to put myself in a few years from now, it may be very mentally draining speaking a second language for the entire day. But that's only because, you haven't been doing it as much. I mean, I could probably change what I just said by doing the actions I'm doing right now and speak more French. But in general, when you're so used to speaking your primary and your first language, I can imagine it'd be very taxing. Imagine doing that for the whole day. It's just like a video game. So the more, and this is with everything, the more you train the skill, you're going to become more prone and, powerful to do it, and it will feel effortless. But one of the sad things about leaving your country, I'd probably say, is most definitely your family. That part does sound very painful because, especially your hometown where you grew up your entire life. I can imagine it being somewhat emotional. And yeah, it does carry some form of like tough, intense memories. I know the day I leave England, it's gonna hurt. It will hurt. It's gonna hurt, being away from my mum. Now don't get me wrong, France is literally 2 hours away from England. By train, I believe it's an hour and 30 by plane, but still, it's a whole different city. And it will suck a bit because I won't be with my family anymore, a completely different country. I have great friends in England. Like I told you guys, I don't have many friends. I only have 5. But I have great friends in... You know what's funny? Also? Out of those 5 friends, I told 4 of them a while back. I think I told you this. I was like, you see, that school over there, that bench, that where I filmed the Where Do You Wanna Live video, it was there. And a while back, I think it was during summer last year, I asked them whether they wanted to go and live. One of my good homies, friend since year 7, he has aspirations of moving to America. Another one of my friends to Thailand. Another one of my friends to Morocco. And another one of them wanted to stay. 2 weeks of their own, right? But yeah, it will be somewhat sad, I guess, in a way, because obviously in the future I'm not gonna be able to, not say visit them, because I'll be rich enough to do so and wealthy enough to do so. But more so, it's like you can't instantly just see them straight away now. Like me and my friends, my good calisthenics buddies, I can go like, hey, you want to train? Cool. And they'll probably be there in like 20-30 minutes. But in the future, it's going to be like, we're all going to be living abroad, like other countries. It's going to be like, hey, you want to meet up? Yeah, sure, I can meet up with you. But probably take a day or 2. Fair enough, And I think it's just an interesting opportunity for change. And I believe you're going to have so much more character development. I'm going to have so much more character development doing so. It's going to be very interesting and it's going to be scary. I feel like I can already somewhat predict what it's going to be like. I feel like I'm going to have a moment where when I actually do it, I'm going to go, oh shit. You know those moments where you're just like, shit. Like you're lightheaded, you feel lightheaded and pleasure at the same time. Not in a sexual sense, because I can imagine that does happen in sex, which is slapping you off. Alright, let me move on my dirty mind. But I mean that in the sense of, you actually did it. It's like winning a world championship fight. You've been training for months, weeks, days, blood, sweat and tears in the training camp, putting up where you didn't win, and you finally get that knockout and you get the belt. Just any highlight reel in general in your life, I believe you're gonna have that numb-headed feeling. It's like, oh shit, I actually did it. Oh my days. You're like, oh shit, I actually did it. And you're gonna feel like, is this real? You're gonna feel like passing out, but out of pleasure in a good way, because your brain's just so stimulated from the highlight reel. I can imagine it can be some form of that. And I also predict when I hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I'll feel the exact same way, because I struggled so much with this channel and building it up from the ground up. I'm gonna have that, oh shit. It's like numbed happiness, like you're super happy but you're numb to it at the same time. It's like your brain can't process it. Tell me if I'm going somewhere with this and if you can somewhat relate. Or maybe if I'm just waffling bollocks. For the Americans, he didn't know, I said, bollocks basically means balls in UK slang. So yeah, that's what I said. I had to clarify it because I know there's people watching all around the world. That's something I have to remember. But I just to remember how big the world is, and it's not just people in England who are watching me. It's people across the world, man. It's people from different continents watching me. And yeah, I think another good reason why you should move out, I think it changes your environment also. Well, that's common sense, but It changes your mentality. And I think it gives you that realization that, you know, a lot of the reasons why we act, and I believe our childhoods and our formative and our teenage years plays a massive factor in terms of our character development and the way we see things and shape the world, especially during the teenage years, because that's when you really start to realize the world for what it is and how the world isn't sunshine and rainbows as you once thought it to be, you know? So I believe, yeah, I mean, I'm speaking from experience. So I'm gonna enter my final teenage years this year. We're gonna be very nerdy next year because I turn 20 next year. But you get the point. You're gonna experience a lot of character development, and even more so in my 20s. And me moving out in my 20s, that will be very interesting, just to see how my mind changes and I'll just tell you insights I have. But this is just my opinions right now before I inevitably move out this country. But yeah, I think it's very interesting and I'm very excited for that chapter. It's a very scary and probably going to be one of the most scariest periods in my life. But once I do pull it off and I'm able to move abroad, I think it's going to go on my cookie jar. If you guys know David Goggins, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about cookie jar. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's in your jar of accomplishments, so whenever you feel bad again, you can just take it out and you're like, I did that. Hey, the same can be said with solo travel. Yeah, I travelled abroad once in my life with my family, but that was with family. I'm talking do it yourself. Different type of difficulty. Character development for sure. They don't teach you that in school. You gotta learn that shit on the fly. You gotta study that by yourself on the internet, you know? And I think it's gonna be a very interesting opportunity. Going back to what I was talking about going back to what I was talking about on how your environment shapes your personality. Obviously, naturally, you're gonna pick up more traits. And the main source I wanted to talk about in regards to that topic, this is going back to what I was talking about. The way we act and behave and the beliefs we have about ourselves, for better or for worse. I'm going to focus on for worse part because I struggled a lot with it. Having low self-esteem and whatnot. It's mainly from your environment. I'd imagine it's commonly school and the way they conditioned us back then in those days. But once you move out of your hometown, it's not until then when you realize how big the world actually is and how no one cares about your problems, how we're all fucked up and we're all struggling also. And it kind of moves that insecurity. You know, at times what commonly tends to happen is, and this is going to reflect as to why most friendships probably end. How many seconds I have left? About 6 minutes. So what tends to happen is in friendship groups, you get onto self-improvement, and this will link to, I mean, it does kind of relate to my video I made about the lonely chapter and having no friends and whatnot. But what tends to happen is you're leveling up in your own personal life, you're thriving. And chances are, which is very unfortunate, and I hope I'm wrong, but 9 times out of 10 this will happen, and it happened to me. You will level up in self-improvement, you will encounter your friends, and you will look around your friends, and you're like, why the fuck am I near you? I don't relate to you anymore. And you want to bring them on this journey with you, but they just don't understand. They can't help but get irritated by your progression and your success, your mentality, how everything is changing and you want more in life. You don't want to go to the pub anymore. You don't want to have casual sex. You don't want to play video games every night. You don't want to go eat shit food and get drunk. You want to read a book. You want to stay in. You want to learn business skills, man. You want to learn a language. You want to learn an instrument. You want to read more books. You want to train with buddies and go on runs with people. All that good stuff, man. You want to date women. All that good stuff. And so they don't relate to it yet. And so you feel left out. And you will feel stupid because your friends are projecting negative beliefs and thoughts towards you. And you can't help but feel negative about yourself. And this is how friendship groups, they tend to split apart. And then I call this the lonely chapter. Now I'm fortunate enough to have 4 good friends that I'm close with that are on self-improvement. And I say I got blessed and lucky at the same time because I did expect to be lonely. Yes, they are busy. Yes, they are busy in the sense that, you know, it's not a thing where it's like during secondary school days I can just tell them to meet up straight away. And fair enough, rightfully so. We'll go get our money together and whatnot, especially starting out. But I forgot, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry, fellas. What was I going to talk about again? Oh yeah, about friends. But yeah, I was blessed in that regard. But for most of us, it's going to be a lonely chapter. And you're leveling up. Your self-image, your self-perception about yourself is leveling up. They will still see you as this, even though you level up. And this is where the hate comes in. And so you need to find a new bunch of friends Best case scenario, your friends that you already did know will level up with you. This is the exception that I experienced, which I'm very blessed and fortunate to have. Their self-image is, and the way they view you is going up in real time. There's no lag, you know. And what tends to happen is most of the time you're going to get to a certain point, let's say 10 years from now, and let's say you're my age, you're 18 years old, you have shit friends who just don't see your vision, they don't see your desire for growth. They're going to be similar, but they're not going to be similar. But then you get to a certain age, 28, they're going to be one of the things that you were talking about at 18. You see what I mean? So it's like they're 10 years behind, and then they have to play catch up. So then they have to start their grind at like 28 years old, and they're probably going to waste their best years. And that's not to say it's, late 30s and 40s are wasted shit years. So they're actually prime years, I'd say. But I'm saying you could have enjoyed the life you wanted a lot earlier, man. There's another life out there, and it can be chased. We have 3 minutes, so let's waffle for another 3 minutes. But yeah, the world is a big place, man, and unless you've traveled to a few countries, you'll realize that you're actually not that special. You realize the significance of this world and how the sheer scale of the people around. And this is all the more reason why you shouldn't care about what people think about you. You know, when I started making my own YouTube videos, I'd be very scared. I remember back during high school, college, I'd be scared of people from my area see my videos. And the grand scheme of things, so let's say I hit 100k. Well, they're only like, what, 10 guys? There were 10 guys from my area who I'm scared of. And I don't say it only to belittle them, because don't get me wrong, everyone's a person. Yeah, but sheer scale, it's only 10 people from your area. 100k people. You're not even gonna hear their shouts because there's so much people. So it's just to put things into perspective on how big the world is and why do I want to live abroad. One, because I love the French culture. I really do. I love the way they speak. I love the accent. Now I'm idolizing the country now. Every country has their issues, and I'm wise enough to know that. And that's with every country. England, beautiful country. Does it have its issues? Yes. I feel like we natives, we like to shit on our own native country a lot more than we appreciate because we live there. It's so funny because then there's another person, one of my loyal subscribers, shout out to you, you're from America, if I remember correctly, and he was talking about how he wanted to visit London. He just asked me how the weather is in the comment section. I told him a lot about it, and it's just funny, and it really puts things into perspective because I'd often shit on London being a native here, but then I don't really get the time to sit down and really appreciate what you have. Let's say Paris, for instance. I love Paris, but the natives will talk shit about it. So it's all relative. And really and truly, every country is shit in some way, and every country is beautiful in some way. So it's more so accepting the pros and the cons, and just finding what's right for you. Because this earth isn't heaven. As much as we love life, and as much as we may love traveling and seeing things, there is no heaven in this earth. It's in the spiritual realm. That doesn't mean we can't enjoy this planet. I'm just telling you, you shouldn't idolize something. So I think moving out to a country and finding a country you want to move out to, I think it's really, simple as finding the pros and cons. What problems do you want to handle in terms of the cons, and what benefits appeal to you? And from there, shoot your shot, baby. That's all for today. Bloopers. That's just me trying to find a fun. You're getting raw, unedited, man. This is like, what's it called? Bloopers. Take care, fellas.